Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Fitzpatrick, and I'm the director of the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. I want to thank you, wherever you are, for virtually joining us this Memorial Day as we honor and remember all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation. In these unprecedented times, I found myself reflecting more and more on the importance of tradition. Traditions bind us together. They strengthen us. They provide structure to our lives, especially at times like these when it feels like our lives have lost structure. In normal times, instead of recording this message alone, I would have the honor and privilege of seeing hundreds of honored veterans and family members at our statewide Memorial Day ceremony here at the Oregon, Afghan, and Iraqi Freedom Memorial, a tradition we have diligently observed for almost 15 years. But these are not normal times. We can't gather together in a normal way. Yet this doesn't mean that we can't observe these traditions. It just means we must find new ways to observe them. In fact, in this time of great uncertainty and loss, it's more important than ever that we remember that we have so much to be thankful for. For example, we are thankful for the service of all of our veterans, from the most recent conflicts to World War II, the 75th anniversary of which we recognize this year. Thank you for fighting to keep our great nation safe and free. We're grateful also for our many veterans across the nation and across the state of Oregon who continue to serve and sacrifice in these unprecedented times long after they took off their military uniform. They are nurses and doctors and other healthcare workers. They're firefighters, police officers, and first responders. They're also mail carriers and grocery store workers. They continue to serve on the front lines of this critical response to COVID-19 and in essential roles that help keep our society healthy, safe, and strong. And most of all, this Memorial Day, we are forever grateful to those who paid the ultimate price in service to our country, all those who gave the last full measure of devotion. Our nation is stronger, our future is brighter because of them. We will never forget their service and their sacrifice. Thank you for joining us today for this important and continuing tradition. I look forward to the day when we can once again be together in person. In the meantime, please stay safe and well.
Hello, I'm Governor Kate Brown, here to wish you a happy Memorial Day. As the daughter of an Air Force veteran, I was raised to have tremendous respect and admiration for the people who serve and protect our nation. Memorial Day is a time for us to reflect on their contributions and their sacrifices. It's also a weekend when Oregonians have traditionally traveled with their families to the beach, to a campground, to get outside, gather with friends, and welcome the return of summer. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Prior to COVID-19, we were hoping to have our largest Memorial Day celebration ceremony in Oregon ever. Now, the best way we can show Oregon's gratitude to that greatest generation and all of our veterans is to celebrate this Memorial Day close to home. This year, by maintaining physical distancing when you fire up that barbecue, you are doing your part to contain this disease that threatens the health of so many of our veterans, and sending a louder message of appreciation than any festivities ever could. During this pandemic, we need to look no further than Oregon's incredible World War II veterans for inspiration and resolve. I was particularly struck by the resiliency of one Oregonian, Bill Lapshes. He's 104 years old and lived through both the 1918 Spanish flu and World War II. This year, he also battled COVID-19 and won. His grit and perseverance set an example for all of us. Here in Oregon, our Department of Veterans Affairs serves everyone who has defended us at home and abroad, including more veterans from diverse backgrounds than ever before. ODVA's Women and LGBTQ Veteran Coordinators help to provide critical outreach to communities of veterans whose contributions and needs were overlooked in the past. As governor, it's an honor to serve as the Commander-in-Chief of the Oregon National Guard. We depend on the Guard here at home in times of fire, floods, and storms. We count on them abroad when they are activated for federal missions overseas. During this pandemic, our Oregon National Guard members have shown tremendous resilience as they have helped us to distribute critical supplies and protective equipment all across the state of Oregon. This Memorial Day, please also take a moment to honor our Gold Star families who live in memory of fallen service members. Their burden and sacrifice is a humble reminder that while our military families don't necessarily wear uniforms, there is no question that they serve our nation with quiet strength.
Hi folks, Ron Wyden here. And today I want to take special note of the fact that this is the 75th anniversary of the incredible job that our troops did in World War II. My parents fled the Nazis in the 30s. Not all our family got out, and my dad was very proud to be a part of the U.S. Army's psychological division, where they dropped propaganda on Hitler, and my mother was a WAC and very proud to serve as well. Today, we also reflect on the many who made the ultimate sacrifice in a number of conflicts since World War II. And especially now as we deal with the COVID pandemic, let's also recognize that our superb military, committed as always to trying to help in every way secure our great country, is performing wonderful services in our nation's behalf at a time when we face serious challenges. So we celebrate 75 years, and we look forward to many more.
Franklin Roosevelt once said, "Those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we enjoy, forget in time that men have died to win them." But this Memorial Day, as we once again join together in spirit, if not in person, we refuse to forget all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our freedom, particularly those of our greatest generation who 3/4 of a century ago answered their nation's call to save the world from Nazi fascism. One of the greatest privileges afforded to me as a United States Senator is the opportunity to interact with our men and women serving in uniform and with the veterans who have made Oregon home. In fact, one of the first things I did after taking office was to visit Oregon service members deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Amazing men and women serving thousands of miles away from home, some on their third and their fourth tours, yet never wavering in their determination to proudly serve our country. To this day, it remains a humbling reminder that we must not only remember and honor the sacrifices of the members of our armed forces on this day, but on each day of the year. Today, as we commemorate all of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who have given their lives for our country, let us resolve to carry their memories and their spirit with us always. Let us resolve to follow their example and always keep America free and proud.
Hi, Congressman Schrader here. I just want to take a moment this Memorial Day to honor the brave men and women of the United States military who gave the ultimate sacrifice defending our country. This Memorial Day marks the 75th anniversary of World War II, and it's unfortunate because of the COVID-19, memorial celebrations for those lost have been postponed. While this Memorial Day may feel a little bit different, our nation's deep and heartfelt gratitude remains the same. Today and every day, we remember the bravery, courage, and service to our country. Their service lives on long after they've gone. Thank you.
Each Memorial Day, we have the opportunity to reflect deeply on the sacrifices of those who have died in service of our country, in conflicts long ago and those more recent. This year is particularly challenging because we can't gather with friends and family to support each other, but we will always remember the sacrifices of those who served and of their families who loved and supported them. The price many paid was high. I remember the Vietnam War was raging when I was in high school and I saw graduates go off to fight. And when instability and conflict grow around the world, may we always remember the high cost of war and work diligently toward lasting peace. May you have a meaningful Memorial Day.
Today, Memorial Day. You know, every day during this pandemic, we think of things to be grateful for, but especially today. We should be grateful for those who gave their ultimate sacrifice in defense of our freedoms. A year ago today, I was honored to speak at Omaha Beach, where more than 3,000 Americans died within a few hours, but finally successfully stormed the beach, the greatest generation. But they've been succeeded by other generations who have defended our country. Korea, Vietnam, the other conflicts in the Middle East, and Afghanistan. And today many are still serving and putting themselves on the front lines. So today especially, but every day, we should honor them. Happy Memorial Day.
It's hard to believe it's Memorial Day. It's been a very strange year, and I'm not alone when I say that many of us were expecting by now to look forward to parades, flyovers, events large and small celebrating Memorial Day. But that's not to be this year. We're not going to have a 75th anniversary celebration for the World War II generation and the end of World War II like we had hoped. We're probably not going to have a lot of different events like we had hoped. But this year we have an opportunity to remember. We have an opportunity to reflect upon the sacrifice and service of the men and women who gave their everything to make sure our nation, our state, and our community survived. We also have an opportunity to say thank you to the men and women that are out there today doing everything they can to make sure people are taken care of during this very challenging time. I want to say a special thank you to the entire ODVA team and the folks that are trying to keep our aging veterans safe. This is a very challenging time. There is no playbook for this. But what we do know is that we are always stronger together. And we veterans know that at the end of the day, the buddy next to you matters far more than what the rules in the book tell you to do. You do the best you can. You serve with honor. And you remember the sacrifice of those that went before you, and you honor the sacrifice of those that serve with you. I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend, and I want to say thank you for all you do and all you did for our country.
Today, we pause to remember all the men and women who have sacrificed their lives in the name of service to our great nation. The Roseburg National Cemetery, adjacent to our main facility here in Roseburg, is a monument to the patriotism and selfless service that are hallmarks of so many Southern Oregonians. This community has gathered each year to honor our war dead and to thank the bereaved families for the burden of sacrifice and loss that each headstone here represents. While this year's commemoration has been interrupted by an unprecedented world health crisis, we still must pause to honor the spirit of so many soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and Marines who have paid the cost for freedoms we so richly enjoy. In the words of our 16th President, Abraham Lincoln, I feel how weak and fruitless be any words of mine which should attempt to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming. But I cannot refrain from tendering to you the consolation that may be found in the thanks of the Republic they died to save. I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost, and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Again, on behalf of the Roseburg VA family, thank you and have a blessed Memorial Day.
It's an honor to join you in recognizing Memorial Day 2020 as we pay tribute to our heroes who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms and all those who have served our nation. This is an exceptional year as it marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, while at the same time, much of the world's population remains in semi-physical isolation in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As Americans, we've commemorated Memorial Day since 1868. For more than 150 years, we've set aside this day to remember our military service members in death and celebrate their lives. But with the passage of time and our situation we find ourselves in this year, it's easy to lose sight of the true meaning behind the day. Memorial Day is considered by many as the unofficial start of summer, and typically is filled with beaches, barbecues, and bargains at your favorite retail store. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has presented us all challenges and many changes in our daily lives. Despite these deviations, our deep sense of patriotism and civic pride ensures we continue to honor the fallen in unique ways. This may include video messages like this one, or perhaps for you, the simple act of displaying our nation's flag with simple prayers and grateful thoughts for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for a brighter future for our nation. Grand parades, speeches, gatherings at our hallowed grounds to honor our nation's heroes will need to wait for another day. Tens of millions of American patriots have served our country, and 1 million perished defeating tyranny and aggression that threatened the liberty and democracy of our nation. Courageous Americans of every generation have stepped forward to fight for freedom when called upon. On this day of reflection, I'd like to honor the accomplishments and the personal resilience of our oldest living generation of veterans, World War II. 16 million Americans served. 300,000 made the ultimate sacrifice to free Europe, Africa, and the Pacific from tyranny. Only an estimated 340,000 or so survive today. Lasting from 1939 to 1945, and responsible for the horrors of the Holocaust, Pearl Harbor, and the deaths of somewhere between 40 and 50 million people, most World War II veterans are now at least 95 to 100 years old, if not older. Soon we'll have no living witnesses to the terrifying and triumphant events of the war that changed the world forever. The inevitability that World War II veterans will be passing away in the next few years makes honoring them today and preserving their memory an urgent task. As our World War II veterans inspired us, their actions 3/4 of a century ago, they inspire us today as resolute survivors of COVID-19. Like Oregon's own 95-year-old Bill Kelly and Bill Lapchese, who recently celebrated his 104th birthday. They both recovered from COVID-19 earlier this spring and inspire all that are privileged to meet them. All in all, it's a hard truth to face that some of our most beloved veterans from World War II are passing away in huge numbers due to old age. They've lived long, incredible lives and served their country well, and we're lucky if we've had the opportunity to have any meaningful time spent with them. We can learn so much from their stories, and they continue to inspire the next generation of heroes. It's in everyone's best interest to deeply understand what led to World War II, or any war for that matter, so that we can prevent it from happening ever again. We need to cherish the World War II veterans that are still with us while we can. On this day of remembrance, we honor the great deeds, achievements, and personal fortitude, and we pay tribute to the constancy and commitment, faith and fidelity to those who served and sacrificed. May God bless those we honor today, those currently serving American uniform, and all our nation's veterans. Thank you.
Today and every day, we remember the fallen. We remember their courage and tenacity. We remember their dedication and determination, their service and their sacrifice. Together, we resolve to remember those who've given their lives in the name of peace and freedom. Today, we honor and remember our veterans, fallen heroes, military members, and their families all across Oregon.